What's up, Threadheads? Maybe it's just me, but it's almost like Virginia's right here again.
Hi!
You're here?
It's 8:30, right?
Oh, she's here.
It's a beautiful day, don't you know? It's a beautiful day.
This is The Thread.
That's gonna bruise, you know.
You really are here.
I'm here!
That's so cool. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well.
Awesome, awesome. Well, we've got a special show for our Threadheads today, one that's all about us dealing with something and coming to grips with something very personal.
And we spoke about that at my church, Cornerstone in Shiloh, Illinois.
Yes, we did, and it all started a long time ago, before the show ever got started.
Long time ago, when I was in my car driving to work and I heard you share your story of alcoholism and recovery on the radio, and I got an idea. So we did a little dramatization when we spoke, and this is how our first meeting went. Hi, Tim. I know we don't know each other. I know you're at Channel 2 and I'm at Channel 4, but I got this idea and I know you're gonna wanna do it. God wants us to do a faith-based TV show, so let's do it.
Look, Virginia, you work at Channel 4, I work at Channel 2. I don't think they're gonna let us work together on this.
Freeze. That was excuse number one. Contracts, competition, please. I mean, contracts eventually expire, you know. So I tried again. So, Tim, I know. I just wanted to throw this back at you because I just really feel like God wants us to do this together. And I know it's gonna happen, so you might as well just go ahead and tell me yes. It's gonna happen.
Well, Virginia, not only am I working at Channel 2, but now I've planted a church now, so I've got the church and work. there's just too much going on. I just don't have the
Freeze. Excuse number two. Okay, you planted a church, that's awesome, but we want to see Tim Zell on the air because actually he was just about to leave Channel 2. And I knew that you couldn't take Tim Zell off the air in St. Louis forever, right? So I tried again. Okay, you are leaving Channel 2. I know this.
Yeah,
I know this.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have time. You're supposed to do this with me. Do the show with me. Come on.
Virginia, you know, I have left the station.
Yes.
But I'm full-time at the church now, and I'm in school at Covenant Seminary. So I got school,
Freeze. School? What are you, like 50? I mean, come on.
I'm 49, I'm frozen, I can still hear you.
You're like Rodney Dangerfield. I mean, when are you gonna grow up and get out of school? Eventually, he did finally graduate. He did, but he was still in school. So I went back to him one more time. Okay, Tim.
Freeze. Okay, what, Virginia, that was fun. I'm not touching you. Still not. That's cool. Virginia was continuing to work on me as a vessel of God, but God was working on me. I was in a situation that was becoming more and more unsettled, unsure of what God's call was on my life. I thought it was going to be a traditional 4 walls and a steeple, but it was beginning to become unsettled. And God had been speaking to me and telling me that he had laid this out there, but she had no idea. Unfreeze.
I am not gonna ask you again. This is the final time, although I know that you're supposed to do this. But are you in or are you out? Are you gonna do this show with me or are you not? Because God told me you were. I'm telling you, we're supposed to do this. Are you gonna do it with me or not?
God talked to me too.
Yeah?
I'm in.
Really?
I'm in.
You're gonna do it?
Yeah,
You're gonna do
I'm
the show. You're gonna do the show.
Yeah,
like,
I'm
you're
gonna do
really gonna do the show with me. Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I told you. Told you.
So was it really Virginia who overcame me, or was it God? It was God. Virginia was the vessel of God continuing to work on me. And overcome is an interesting word because it can mean two different things. Overcome as in we overcome in our strength over something, or we are overcome. Which brings us to the story of Jacob. You know the story of Jacob and Esau, right? All right, so here's the deal. We got to do some backstory on Jacob, first of all. Born to Isaac and Rebekah, twins, Esau and Jacob. Esau was the firstborn, but when they came out of the womb, Jacob was holding Esau's heel. Jacob's name actually means the one who cheats. Frederick Buechner called him the go-getter, and that's who he was. Remember, Esau was hairy and rough, and Jacob was smooth. But he was also a smooth operator. You knew I was going to sing at least once, right? All right, so yeah, he was a slick Willie. He knew how to get things done, how to get his way and what he wanted. You remember Esau came in hungry from the hunt, tired, and Jacob was cooking some stew. He said, give me some of that stew. And Jacob said, you know, if you give me your birthright, I'll give you some stew. Now, the birthright is very important, right? The firstborn son, he gets a double portion of the inheritance. He's the one to take over when the father passes away. And what does Esau do? I mean, he's not going to give that away for some soup, is he? Just give it to me. You can have the birthright. And Jacob gets it. Then Isaac's about to bless Esau as the firstborn. He says, prepare me a meal, go hunt me some wild game. You prepare it, serve it to me, and I'm going to bless you. When Jacob's mom hears that, says, you go do it. You bring him this food. You put on some hair so you're hairy like Esau. Put on your clothes so you smell like Esau, because you know your father's, his sight's not good. So you go in there. And what happens? Isaac blesses Jacob instead of Esau. And who gets mad? Nobody. I mean, nobody but Esau. No one seems to think it's that big of a deal. Esau's hopping mad, but it's Esau. He's the guy that gave up his birthright for some soup. And Esau wants to kill Jacob. So Jacob's mom, Rebecca, says, you need to get out of here and go to my brother's house, Laban. So he does. And he falls in love with Rachel, Laban's daughter. But he also meets his match, because Laban's another slick Willie. He falls in love and he says, look, you worked for me 7 years, you can have Rachel. Right? He says, okay, I'll do it. He does it. 7 years pass. They have the wedding. He wakes up the next morning and it's Leah, the older sister. And he's like, Laban, what's the deal here? And Laban goes, well, you know, in my country, I can't marry off the younger daughter until I marry off the older. So if you work for me 7 more years, then you can have Rachel. He's in. So he does it. But he finds a way to trick Laban as well. He tricks him into making sure that his animals are stronger. He separates the herd, but just getting them to stare at sticks, he figures out a way so he can get the stronger ones. And then he tricks him one more time by leaving with his family in the middle of the night. He just takes off. He doesn't tell Laban he's going. And then he decides it's time for me to go back to my country, back to where Esau is. Remember, Esau was hopping mad when he left. So what does he do? He starts sending gifts ahead of him, everybody else. Maybe I can appease Esau. Maybe I can just, if I give him enough gifts, by the time I get to him, maybe he won't be so angry. Which brings us to our passage in Genesis chapter 32, verse 22. That same night, he arose and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream and everything else that he had, and Jacob was left alone. And a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched his hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. Then he said, let me go, for the day is broken. But Jacob said, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And he said to him, what is your name? And he said, Jacob. Then he said, your name shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed. Then Jacob asked him, please tell me your name. But he said, why is it that you ask my name? And there he blessed him. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, saying, for I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered. The sun rose upon him as he passed Peniel, limping because of his hip. In that one moment, Jacob went from a grip of trying to overcome God to one of just hanging on for dear life. And he realized the blessing he really needed was not one he could get by the strength of his cunning and his wit, but one he could only receive as a gift. And he's hanging on and begging, just bless me. Bless me. And it's a point we all come to, because we all at times try to white-knuckle it and do it on our own strength, and we're trying to overcome God. And he's saying, you just need to receive the gift. The gift's in my strength, it's not in yours. But we all fall victim to trying to do it in our own strength. Hey, Threadheads, you no doubt know Don Brown.
Don Brown Chevrolet. Don Brown Chevrolet. Don Brown Chevrolet.
And you probably know that Don has a flair for fashion and a knack for cars, but he also has a heart for people.
I learned from my father a long time ago, it's not about one person, it's about the entire community. It is a car business, but it's a people business. It's about the people. It's not about the products, it's about the people.
If you're in the market for a car, come to Don Brown, where it's people over process.
And we're proud to be part of the Thread family, and we'd love to be part of your family.
MSD Sewer Patrol here, reminding you this winter to take it easy on the salt. Salt on top of snow is a no-no. Try shoveling first. Too much salt ends up in our creeks and streams, causing pollution, damaging our property, fish, and other natural habitat. You wouldn't do this to your food, would you? So why are you doing it to your driveway? Go to stlmsd.com for more information. Hey, less shaking, more scooping. Hey, Threadheads, thanks for joining us this morning. Are you picking up on a theme here? We're like bringing joy, creating community, transforming lives. That's what this show is all about. We are so much stronger when we come together than we ever are when we separate and divide. We want to continue this mission. We want to help this city thread up and be the most it can be. So, you want to be a part of the team? You want to help us on that mission? Go to thethreadstl.com and learn how you can be a threadhead and help us thread up, y'all. It's hard to believe we're in season 3 of The Thread, considering that in the beginning, Virginia and I knew next to nothing about owning a show or running a nonprofit. Circle of Advisors Securus has been a part of the Thread Circle of Advisors since day 1, walking alongside us as we walk out this new journey that God has called us to. And if they can help a couple of hot messes like me and Virginia, they can certainly help you too.
Tim, we've been proud to walk alongside of The Thread, and we'd be honored to walk alongside of you too.
You see, right before I got the idea for the TV show, I was a regular here at Cornerstone. I was saved. I got baptized right over there. Josh Kinney baptized me. But while we were doing this faith-based TV show, I actually had a secret. I was keeping it from Tim. I was keeping it from everybody. I've got some video evidence to prove it to you. So I wanted to take you back to our 7th episode of The Thread in November of 2016. We were actually in Baton Rouge on location shooting this special episode to celebrate Tim's 25 years of sobriety. And right when we got into town, we parked in a parking lot and he showed us the building where he went to his first AA meeting and shared his story. The whole idea of this show came to me when I heard you shared that story on the radio. I didn't even know him, except as well as most of you. He was Timmy Zell. But all of that got used for good.
And why tell that story? Why do I tell that story? Because I want people to know that it doesn't have to stay that way. No matter what you're living in, no matter what you're struggling with, you don't have to stay that way. There is a chance to fly like eagles out among the stars. There's a chance to restart.
I think there was a reason I was crying. I felt like he was talking to me, but he didn't know what I was dealing with. He didn't know that in the car right behind us, I had a suitcase packed with boxes of wine for our special shoot. We were on the way to his Uncle Andy's house. That's where we were staying while we were on location shooting this show. And tell him about Uncle Andy.
Uncle Andy, he lived, I went to school at LSU in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and he had been living in California. And right when I hit my bottom, he had moved back to Baton Rouge. And he had 2 years sobriety. And it was my Uncle Andy who took me to that first AA meeting.
So not only were we there to celebrate Tim's 25 years of sobriety, we're staying with Uncle Andy, and I'm drinking wine in the bedroom at night while we shoot on location during the day. So then a few weeks later, we were shooting our special Christmas show. And I have a picture, Tim, you may remember this. You remember this?
Oh, yes.
So we were shooting the final scene. We were having a good time, but about an hour before this picture was taken, we were at our producer's house, and Tim was reading a passage and led us in prayer, and I was on the other side of the table, sweating, squirming in my seat, trying not to cry, trying not to shout out, "I have a drinking problem." But right before I would do it, I remembered, if you tell him now, you'll never be able to drink again, and you can't handle that. So I didn't. So you may remember on lots of, not just that shoot, lots of interviews, I would cry.
Oh, yeah. And you could tell it was always hitting her personally.
Yeah, it was when people would share their struggles, and they would say something that reminded me of me, like Angie Liggins. She was sharing her story of addiction and how she finally turned it over to God. And this is how I reacted to that one.
But it's going through the different trials, you know. We're gonna go through them. So just going through them, but keeping your focus in the right place. Amen. That's how you grow and get wise from it. You know, not perfect at all. I'm that Christian that know I need Jesus every day. Are you okay, Patricia? It's okay. It's the truth, right? It's the truth, right?
We have lots of raw video of those moments, and I never explained why I would break down like that. But finally, my anxiety was catching up with me. It wasn't just the drinking that I had an addiction to. I had an addiction to control. I had an addiction to people pleasing, and an addiction to being perfect, seemingly perfect. Anxiety is not just a thing, it's many things that build up and create that anxiety. I was having regular panic attacks for the first time in my life. I was staying super busy. All of these things I did to cope were killing me. I was numbing out. I was not dealing with whatever was going on. And this is something I did since I was 13 years old. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore. I was on the brink of a mental breakdown. I went to Tim and I said, I can't do it anymore. I've got to step off the show. I can't keep up the schedule with the show and my business and my family. I just can't. And so we made the decision that I would step off the show. And we told y'all about it. Because I think so often we get so distracted and we don't want to deal with our stuff. And so, you know, I've shared, I've had an eating addiction. I like to stay busy. I like to shop, like all these little things that people tend to do. We use that as therapy, like that, you know, retail therapy. Yeah, that is what you're doing. It doesn't mean it's healthy though. And so I just realized that I need to clear out the distractions, get back with God, and get back with my family.
Something missing out of that list?
Maybe. So I stepped away. I had very good intentions. If I was gonna, you know, simplify my life, reduce my crazy schedule, I could do this. I could moderate my drinking. I would be okay. I could do this. I went to an AA meeting with him. I was sober for 2 weeks last year.
Yes,
and then I told him, I'm good. I got this. I don't need AA. I'm good.
Virginia couldn't be overcome by me. That wasn't going to do the trick. But I kept praying for her and kept trying to keep her in contact and drawing her in, asking her to come on the show, making an appearance. We'd have lunch from time to time. But God had to do his work on her.
And it happened. It happened over time, but there was no crazy rock bottom. I lost a job. I lost my family. I was living in the streets. It happened when one day I had this idea of what I really wanted to do in life. I wanted to help other women struggling with anxiety. I wanted to be able to speak publicly. By the way, this is one of my biggest fears. And I just heard this voice say, you can do all that. I can use you, but not until you quit drinking. So November 4th was my first day of sobriety. Today is day 64. Guys, when I first tried to quit, well, that wasn't the first time, but the first time I tried to quit and I told Tim about it, I was drinking about a bottle to a bottle and a half of wine a night, every night. And if you think that you can moderate and that you can somehow control your drinking, whoo, by the time I finished, I was drinking 2 bottles a night.
And God's got something big on the other side of this. He's going to use this in a powerful way. And I tell Virginia all the time, God's going to use it. Everything you're going through, God's going to use it.
It's our biggest President's Day sale ever, and it starts now at Art Van Furniture. Get the lowest sale prices in America. Discounts up to 65% off all furniture and home accessories. Plus, buy more and save more with up to an extra 25% off. Plus, no interest for 20 months. Sofas as low as $3.99. Bedroom sets $4.99. Tempur-Pedic as low as $29 a month. Save today because the biggest Art Van Furniture President's Day sale ever starts now.
Did you know that pet waste causes water pollution problems for our entire community? Pet waste is a large source of pathogens to our water and contains disease-causing viruses and bacteria that are harmful to humans and other animals. And when left on the ground, those viruses and bacteria spread with rainwater, polluting our local waterways. Proper disposal is critical. Always pick up after your pet, putting the waste in the trash. Do your part to keep our sewers and waterways free of pet waste contamination. Find out more at stlmsd.com.
Do you know someone who is committed to changing lives in your community? Well, don't keep it a secret. Tell us about it. We're always looking for story ideas from all around the area, and you can help us find them. If you know of a neighbor or a good Samaritan devoting their time and talents to helping others, then go to our website and send us an email to sowhat@thethreadstl.com. You can also contact us on our Facebook page, and you just might see it on the thread because we love sharing the good news happening all around our town.
Our first mission is to bring glory to God. That's why we're here. We have a talent, it just happens to be banking.
So M1 Bank is banking on a mission fueled by the power of purpose.
It gets a point in your life where you got to live it every day, not just believe it.
I'm believing that this is going to catch on and we're all going to spread up.
For us in our house, this is how we're going to serve the Lord and His purpose. And we're going to do it through the financial institution that happens to be called M1 Bank.
And so when Virginia stepped away from the show, I, being the man of God, of course, I just leaned stronger into God, right? No. I rolled up my sleeves and went to work. I got to do this. I got to make all this happen. And I'm wearing hats I got no business wearing. I got a lot of weaknesses on that show that I'm trying to do. And I tried to do it in my own strength, and I'm wearing it out, and the show's going nosedive. And we're about out of money again. And I realized I'm going to have to do some tent making to keep this ministry going, looking for opportunities. And then the opportunity arose at Fox 2 to go back to do something I love doing, being with people, a sweet spot, an opportunity to hopefully get the thread in a healthier place. Guess what happened the week I took the position back at Fox 2? I had 3 meetings lined up with potential supporters for the thread. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday, they said yes. Wednesday, they said yes. Thursday, they said yes.
We hadn't gotten a sponsor for over a year.
Over a year. We had lost several, but we hadn't gotten any new ones.
And then that happened.
And it was when I took my hands off of it, when I quit white-knuckling the show into the ground, and I stepped back and said, God, this is your show if it's going to happen. It's got to be you. That's when the support came. We always think we can do it better than God at times when we get in our own strength. There was a guy who went to God and he said, God, anything you can do, I can do as well. And God said, oh, really? Well, I created man out of the dust of the earth. God said, I can do that. So he went down, got him a handful of dirt, and God said, oh, hold up. You got to make your own dirt. That's mine. Go ahead. We try to take control. God created everything. He created us. Why do we think we can do it without him? But we do. And we think we can manipulate it and we can make it happen instead of just submitting and getting the freedom we get by sitting under him because he loves us. That's why he sent Jesus. He didn't wait till we got it right to send Jesus. Otherwise, there'd been no need to send Jesus. It was while we were a hot mess, and he knew it. And he came and he saved us.
There's more than just the guilt of the things we did. There's the shame of who we think we are because we did those things. And Jesus doesn't want us to feel that way. And I still struggle with that. And I remember a couple of weeks ago, I was with Tim and I just was buried in it. I just didn't feel like I could go on. I couldn't do this sobriety thing because I was so used to just drinking my feelings away. And he said, well, then stop taking on the burden of all this shame. You're not supposed to carry it anyway.
And what Virginia's talking about is exactly right. Not only are we supposed to lay down control, and that's a hard one for us because it's not popular. Surrender, submission, are those popular words in our culture? It's countercultural, but it's what we're called to do, to lay it down. But we're also called to lay down something else, the guilt and the shame. Whatever it is we're dragging around, whatever it is we're carrying, he paid the price for that too. That thing you don't tell anybody about, he paid for that too.
Your story is not as unique as you think. And I really, truly believe, and it's why I love our show so much, that your story is your biggest gift because it's your way to connect with people and let people see how God is using you. Because if the burden is controlling you, he can't use you. And if the burden is controlling you, people can't see that God is using you. So I just challenge you today to tell one person and ask God to take it from you and give yourself grace. You're not supposed to carry this by yourself. Did I ever think in my wildest dreams that this guy that I saw on Channel 2 sometimes at live shots would one day be helping me with my recovery? I never saw that coming. You have no idea what he's doing and what he's doing through you and what he's preparing you for. Using, just like you said, all of it.
Whoa, such a brave thing for you to step forward and share your story. And there's no telling how many people it's going to touch.
Well, it wasn't easy to do, but can I just tell you, I feel so much better and lighter.
Yes, absolutely. You know I got a new favorite song.
You always do.
And this one's Dierks Bentley. It's called Traveling Light. And in it he says, I'm traveling light. I'm laying it down. All those demons I know I kept dragging around. I'm cutting the ties and dropping the weight. All my hurt and my regrets and my mistakes. I'm tired of living unforgiven, so I'm traveling light. That'll preach every day and twice on Sunday.
Yes, it will. And you know what? I think so many of us don't even realize what we're dragging around and how long we've been dragging it around.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm telling you, this was going on for years, way before I met you or heard your story on the radio.
And you couldn't lay it down because it was your responsibility to do something about it. You were supposed to
that's what
fix
I thought.
it. Yeah, you thought you were going to do it in your own strength. And God's saying, I've already paid the price for all of that. And same for you. Whatever you're dragging around, whatever that thing is that you don't tell anybody about, he's paid for that too. And guilt and shame were not meant for you to wear. They were meant for you to leave them at the cross.
It's really interesting to just see how God was slowly working in me and using other people, and how listening to you share your story of alcoholism that day was almost like a foreshadowing, if you will.
How many days?
Today's 98.
98.
Yeah.
I love it. It is so awesome.
And listen, I can't thank you enough, because it is, if you're going through something like this, I can tell you right now, it is not easy, but it was people like you who have been there, done that, and kept saying to me, just hold on, it gets better, I promise. And it really does. Day 98 is so good, especially when you compare it to day 6 or 7.
No doubt. It keeps getting better, and he's got better things in store for you on the other side of a journey like this. So whatever you're carrying, whatever you're dragging, lay it down, travel light. God's got you.
Spot Media Production Group.